Black Myth Wukong confirmed garbage and woke. It's gonna be great.
A lot of you guys probably won't like what I'm about to say. To be clear, I don't say things just to agree with a common narrative. I think it's incredibly damaging when YouTube creators only ever talk about things that they know their audience will applaud them for, or worse yet, if they say things they don't even believe for that same purpose. But regardless of what I expect to happen, these are my actual honest opinions on a story that has recently gained quite a bit of traction. The story is about Black Myth Wukong, which is an upcoming action RPG published by Game Science, a Chinese developer, with a story originally told by a popular 16th century novel. It looks
Chinese. Oh boys, that's gonna be fun.
good, make no mistake there. It looks fun.
Well, considering it's actually released by China, I honestly think this is gonna be more just flat out propaganda that glorifies the CCP than, anything else. Because China would never allow something like this to happen. Again, if you're inside of China, you literally can't do this. You can't do this and export, especially export something to the West, if the party has not given you the stamp of approval. So this is gonna be, I don't know honestly about woke. It seems like it also is gonna be that. But man, this is gonna be heavy, heavy propaganda most likely.
It looks well made, and I certainly have an interest in playing it myself. But for today, we're not talking about the actual game. We're talking about its developers. We're talking about a consulting company that everyone loves to hate right now called SBI, or Sweet Baby Incorporated. Lightning fast
Yay!
backstory. Sweet Baby Incorporated has become an absolute pariah in the video game industry as of late because they try very hard to inject themselves into the narrative story of whatever project they can, and a lot of those stories end up being complete garbage as a result. The work
And the worst part is then they try to lie about not even doing anything. Oh, we didn't write any of the one of your employees is literally acclaimed as the writer of one of these games. How can you even try to deny this? Oh man, this never ends, does it? Sad.
that they do feels not just unnecessary, that's putting it kindly, but actively harmful to the integrity of the games that they consult on for the purpose of shoehorning diversity metrics. And the behavior that this company exhibits outwardly is pathetic. Their employees try to cancel all of their critics, their defenders repeatedly make up lies or conveniently misinterpret arguments in the most uncharitable ways possible.
Now, to be fair, their defenders are probably stupid enough to not even understand what they are doing is wrong or a lie. To be fair.
For anyone who needs to hear this, SBI is a pox on the industry. Gaming would be holistically better off if they just ceased to exist. And I myself have been very vocal about that fact over the past few months, at the very least, as they perpetrate behavior that I feel has no place in the entire industry. To be as clear as possible, I have no sympathy for them. This is not me defending them. This is me critiquing the concept of media literacy regarding a story that they happen to be attached to because responsibility and truth are consistent principles, regardless of who the subject is. I guess what I'm trying to say is that Sweet Baby Incorporated is a company owned and operated by people whom I consider to be deceptive, predatory, and opportunistic, but none of that actually changes what I see happening
Do you like these effects of the blur and after image thing? I don't. Doesn't look that great.
here with Black Myth Wukong, which is why I'm making the video. Just because they are a certain way does not mean that I have to be or anyone else should be. I hope everyone can understand that and bear with me as I tell you precisely why that is. This right here is what I'm talking about, and to properly demonstrate, I've chosen this article right now from a random website called Tech for Gamers. Nothing against them personally, just to be clear, there's quite a few similar examples out there I could draw from, but this one is a pretty good showcase of what I mean. Title.
The Chinese developers, the Chinese developers, if this title is true, they probably said, no, this game has no room for double propaganda. No.
Quote, Black Myth Wukong devs refused to work with Sweet Baby Inc. End quote. Okay, so far so good. Story highlights.
Is that
Black
real?
Myth Wukong's developer refused to be guided by Sweet Baby Incorporated. The company demanded a ridiculous $7 million in guidance fees. Various outlets are reportedly called.
Dude, I need to start this grift, okay? It's free money, okay? All I need to do is tell them, make this character a woman, now make her a lesbian, and now if you can, please make her a black gay lesbian. Voila! 5 million. Easy, okay? then I would tell them, okay, now you need to make this storyline about him coming out as gay. Oh, and this character, the backstory you made for him, very cool. But we're deleting all of that, and now his whole personality is the fact he's trans. God, I'm a natural at this, but I should be raking in these millions. I'm a one-man army at diversity.
Calling out game science for this move, end quote. Cool, right? Simple, makes sense. See, the problem here, like, it's not really a problem, but just this is genuinely believable, very much so. And the reason it's believable is because Sweet Baby Incorporated makes it believable through their use of tactics like these. Here's two examples of what I'm
Are we gonna get the classic video about scaring the companies?
talking about from GDC, Game Developers Conference, as well as another discussion panel.
If you're a creative working in AAA, which I did for many years, put this stuff up to your higher-ups.
Nice.
And if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility.
So the thing that a lot of people probably don't understand, why is it the marketing team? Every big company values their marketing team, even though most marketing teams can't even actually provide evidence that they work. That's the craziest part. I hate marketing so much because of that. They're just a bunch of empty blabbermouths and spaced out and zonked people who just do things at random, and then they're like, is minus 10% sales bad? No, seriously, I was literally once in this situation. A girl from marketing asked, so how is the campaign doing? And I'm like, oh, it's 10% less than expected. And she's like, oh, is that bad? I'm serious. And this is normal for marketing. God forbid anyone in marketing ever knows what 2 plus 2 is. And they're actually valued by most companies extremely highly, because they're kind of the outward image and whatnot. It's crazy.
Of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
Have a coffee with marketing so that you can absolutely terrify them by telling them, here's what's going to happen if you don't do this.
Yeah.
Considering the typical person who's in marketing, you don't even need to terrify them. You just need to tell them, yeah, you probably should do this, and they're going to be like, and be like, oh, yeah, okay. And there you go. The world just doesn't make sense anymore, and marketing is to blame.
Yeah, see, that's a valid thing to criticize, and it basically sounds like this company engages in softcore
The snow graphics look good, though.
extortion so they can cram their dipshit narrative ideas into as many games as possible, which is, again, a perfectly deserving thing to call out, but bear with me here. Further down in the article, we find this, quote, according to a Chinese media press release, Game Science refused to take the company's guidance as they demanded an unbelievably high $7 million. Agreeing
Well, it's China.
to the offer would have added forced inclusivity to the game and removed creative freedom from the developers. End quote.
Wow, who would have expected that's the outcome of woke? Wow. Well, I'm learning so much here.
Quote. Okay, so Sweet Baby Incorporated, a company that is highly scrutinized right now for their behavior, which I, among many others, consider to be fairly despicable behavior, allegedly attempted to extort $7 million from Game Science, the developers behind Black Myth Wukong, and were shut down in the process, leading to a press release by
Yeah, because it's China.
Chinese media, which is now being discussed here, right? Clear? Excellent. Except, no, it's not. See, if you actually go to the source that they cited, it's a random Twitter user named Pirate Nation, with a lengthy post of their own translating a block
And he's Russian? Yep.
of text from Chinese
Nice.
to English with the caption, quote, Chinese media, Black Myth, Wukong, refused to be extorted $7 million by Sweet Baby, end quote, which makes it rather obvious why this particular news outlet then echoed that tagline. But if you go one step...
Hey, it's a news outlet, okay? Let's be real. These news outlets nowadays don't even do journalism. They just look at Twitter and what's trending. That's literally it. Do you know that Dexterto actually has a website? Neither did I. Turns out they do, though. I thought they're just a Twitter thing. Because who honestly cares about them outside of Twitter? And everyone gets their news from Twitter anyway.
Further, I'll show you. Pirate Nation doesn't give any details on the true source of the allegation in their post, aside from a screenshot. But if you track down the actual place that this claim originally came from, you find it
It's probably, yeah, the Chinese Twitter.
here on a platform called Weibo, posted by a user named
Yeah.
Tianhu. This is where I sort of just have to say it how it is. Weibo is a Chinese microblogging social media platform, and Tianhu is, for lack of a better word, an influencer. He has a sizable following, sure, but neither the platform nor the person on it qualify as Chinese media. What we're talking about here is the equivalent of a large Facebook user posting their opinion.
I mean, this is how these things work. Oh, a source from a source from a source said that? I mean, yeah, it must be true then. This is how sad life has become.
With zero, count them, zero cited sources, no actual connection to the development team whatsoever, and no discernible authority on this that I could find anywhere online. And believe me, I tried.
So, also, the thing about China is questionable here. China is completely capable of ignoring something like Sweet Baby Inc. But then again, since this is a game that's gonna get shipped off to the West, I will not be surprised if there's a Western version of this game that is nothing like the Chinese game. But Sweet Baby Inc. has just been allowed to run absolutely rampant. I would not be surprised.
Somehow, a Chinese social media user with a couple 100,000 followers makes a post with quite literally zero evidence. Another user on Twitter picks it up and attributes that claim to Chinese media, leading to bloggers or news outlets running with the story, claiming that as per a Chinese media press release, which is one step even further removed from reality, Sweet Baby Incorporated tried to extort $7 million from Game Science, when the reality is that their source is actually just a
Well, I would believe the fact that they did try to get that much money, though.
random Twitter user quoting a random Weibo user. Just to put this in perspective, I hope, I don't care how big someone's social media following is. A random
Oh man, a held bot at the bottom? What do you mean? Fix this.
person on Facebook posting claims with zero cited sources and
Also, he has the ceiling flask here, and, you know, the boa stick, or whatever it was, what was it called?
zero evidence is not an American media press release. That's not how any of this works. Sadly, this kind of media literacy is obviously rare. A lot of people have decided to run with the ball here, and I can't fully blame them because Sweet Baby Incorporated definitely brought this on themselves by acting the way that they have and saying the things that they do. But this entire
I would argue that they did that by doing the things that they do.
subject is getting twisted beyond recognition. After this whole thing got started, a hefty amount of people began claiming that this
Oh, there we go, the expand.
article
Nice.
right here from IGN was evidence of the claim being true. Game Science had denied the attempt at extortion by Sweet Baby Incorporated, who had then weaponized IGN, this is like the through-line thought process that they had, to slander the game as much as possible in retaliation for them refusing to bend the knee. And yes, I can see why the puzzle pieces kind of fit, maybe, but they really sort of don't. The article is bad, no doubt about that, okay? I can criticize this thing for days, and the translation is about as malicious as you can expect, which makes it even more believable that this was a hit piece designed to inflict as much damage as possible. However, this is a company who uses recruitment posts like this, for example, to advertise. Now, me, I don't personally care. This kind of stuff doesn't bother me, but for an IGN writer, you know the type I'm talking about, the woke scold type people. Yeah, through the lens of diversity, equity, inclusion, and sensitivity, I can see why they got upset enough to write a
Love those things. Love. They just make everything so much more hilarious when it fails.
piece about this company, and I don't think it
Imagine how bad Acolyte would be if we didn't have those things to laugh about. It would just be sad.
has anything to do with Sweet Baby Incorporated. The entire subject has become a rallying cry in the dumbest way possible. After this whole thing happened, I started seeing posts about how successful Black Myth Wukong will be because gamers reject the influence of SBI, which they do, by the way, that's true. And I even saw people talking about how the game was #1 on Steam's top seller list because gamers were sending a message and winning the war. But guys, the game was #1 from June
The game just looks good. That's kind of the thing. Yeah. The game just looks good.
4th to June 11th already, which was before the post from Weibo got exported to Twitter and even started to gain traction that it eventually had. Like, this was before all of it was #1.
What do we prefer more, Chinese propaganda or woke one? Man, this is a tough battle.
This entire thing reminds me of the ancient Egyptian legend Ouroboros, which is a serpent eating its own tail. A social media user in China, seeing the very well deserved ire that Sweet Baby Incorporated has earned themselves here in the West, decided to throw out a paragraph regarding IGN and Sweet Baby Interactive and made a claim about SBI approaching game science, which they might have, but we don't know, and they didn't cite any sources, and they don't work for the development team, and there's just no evidence. A few days after that random claim hits Weibo, a user who feels the same way on Twitter translates it over and says Chinese media, leading to bloggers and influencers here saying that a Chinese media press release has somehow highlighted SBI's extortion scheme plain as day, which was really just a person who probably saw the...
By the way, I completely believe that Sweet Baby Inc. could actually attempt that. I mean, I see absolutely no problem.
...news here, and then started connecting some dots, which is fine, but we should look at the story for what it really is. I mean, come on, guys. I'm trying to keep it together here, but come on. China has an entire ethics panel for video games, which was established to implement the spirit of national propaganda, including a directive to block games that include homosexuality or pregnancy before marriage, among many other things.
Based.
That's not very DEI of them, and speaks to the extremely restrictive reality of...
Well, again, this is... No. Operational, you don't understand. This is in China. This is in China. Look at League of Legends. How many skins and whatnot and characters and voice lines are changed for China, and how they are left for everyone else. China cares about this stuff in China. Outside of China, China wants that stuff to be implemented. This is like the big thing. Because, dude, listen. There's that video of that KGB agent like 20 years ago, literally describing current day America and how that was their long-term plan to destroy America. And no one takes it seriously. This shit works. And China wants to further it. Again, China has its own TikTok. And you know what their TikTok is full? Well, it's not people eating Tide Pods and doing, memes. No. It's about education and wholesomeness and all of that garbage. There's a difference. There is a difference. China believes in this stuff in China. Outside of China, the less that their rules apply, the better they feel.
Game publishing in the Chinese market, which means that even if Sweet Baby Incorporated somehow deluded themselves into thinking that they would be allowed to have any say in the narrative of a Chinese-centered video game, they would be shut down immediately, because half the stuff that they're determined to force into these games, the DEI agendas I mean, is specifically denied on principle by the Chinese government. What I'm trying to say is that Sweet Baby Incorporated sucks. Their employees often use deceptive tactics to get what they want. They certainly have an impact here in the West.
Well, that's all well and cute and fun. We all know that. Anyway, that's Upper Echelon. Nice. Bye-bye.